The concept of biometrics in vehicles is not new, as we have heard of fingerprint detection for locking and unlocking cars for years. However, with the recent advancements in the accuracy of the technology, hardware being more affordable, demand for more user convenience, automotive biometrics has expanded to include additional use cases such as driver identification monitoring, personalization of vehicles. Market reports predict the automotive biometrics industry to surpass $1 billion with an annual growth rate of over 12% by 2025 and over 16% by 2028. Most car companies have already announced their plans to incorporate biometrics in their future models, Hyundai and Subaru leading the way with biometric enabled cars already on the market. I'm your host, Ashok Singhal. Welcome to the podcast. On the guest today, Shashank Dhariwal is an AI specialist with over 9 years of experience in biometrics. He specializes in various modalities and use cases associated with safety, security, and personalization. I came across Shashank's profile when his article, The Future of Biometrics in the Automotive Industry, was published in India's leading mobility engineering magazine. Welcome to the podcast, Shashank.
Thank you, Ashok. Glad to be on the podcast here.
Awesome. Shashank, could you give us a 60-second elevator pitch of your career journey and how you got into biometrics?
This started with a seminar on gate biometrics from my professor Mark Nixon while I was pursuing masters at University of Southampton. And this particular seminar was so interested that it totally drew myself me into it. And the very next day I went and talked to my supervisor that I please give me some project in this particular field. I want to move further into this particular domain. And so after a few days he said, okay, fine, look into ear recognition. So that was my master's thesis, to use 2D images of people's ears and identifying them through that. After that, I worked for roughly 2 years with Safra Identity and Security on the India's unique identity program, that is Aadhaar. And after that, I moved on to work with Continental Automotive, and I've been here for the past 7 years now, and now I am working as the technical architect here, and working also as the biometrics expert in several projects.
Got it. That is very interesting. Coming from ear biometrics to now your role in Continental across different modalities. That is very impressive, Shashank. And again, thank you for your time. So let's dive right into the questions. And my first question to you is, you mentioned about Continental. For me, I have always thought of Continental as a tire company. Can you tell me about the company's vision for automotive biometrics and a little bit more about your role at Continental?
Sure, I'll take you through that. So, it's a very common question that I face these days. What's Continental doing in the in the biometrics business and all? But tires is the legacy business of Continental, yes, and it has been historically associated with tires, and it was one of the oldest offerings as well. However, Continental understood the potential of the automotive market, and hence it has been into this business since early 90s. Today, the company has the widest and one of the most advanced mobility solutions in the market. With changing industry and trends, Conti has also diversified its businesses, and today we have not just sophisticated automotive technologies from which range from brakes to high performance computers, and tires to surface solutions for vehicle seats and home solutions. So that's a little bit about the Continental background. Also give a little bit of the structure of the company. We have several verticals over here, vertical business units, and that's like autonomous mobility, smart mobility, safety and motion, and several other ones as well. So amongst all these, my department is a horizontal, and in this, my department is known as the research and advanced engineering. And over here, we are a group of AI experts who are contacted, and we provide expertise and AI expertise and solutions to the other business units for their respective use cases, etc. Coming to the biometrics in the automotive side, so biometrics is usually associated with the access part, and currently at Continental we have this product called Cosma. um, that is basically using some wireless sensors embedded in the car and also your phone, and based on the distance, when you are walking towards the car, and based on the distance you are from the car, it classifies you into respective zones, and accordingly it also enables different levels of like a welcome sequence, and then unlocking the door, etc., localizing where exactly you are around the car and opening that particular door. So this is the kind of access solution we currently have. But I think since there are a lot of relay attacks, and you may not always be carrying your smartphone or something. So in the future, and as you also highlighted earlier, Hyundai and Subaru. So in the future, yes, there will be biometrics, and you may not need to carry a single device also.
Great. Thank you for sharing the diversified portfolio of Continental and honing in on your specific role. You are right, like more and more companies, as I talk to them, I also hear about them using not only biometrics, but AI and machine learning. As we all know, companies are leveraging these latest technologies to solve the existing problems. Awesome. Moving on, and let's zoom out a little bit. So from Continental to broader automotive industry, what issues do you see that the car manufacturers are trying to address through the use of biometrics and other technologies? And additionally, why specifically do you think they are exploring biometrics as a solution to solve these problems?
Right. So, automotive industry, in general, till we came into this age of AI and cameras and cheaper compute, it has traditionally dwelled in the in the traditional technologies, and for a long time. But now that we have so much technology available, it needs to adapt to the needs of the users and personalize accordingly. Like your home, your car is going to become an extension of your home, and then also with the increasing level of automation, it means the drivers need to be monitored more closely to ensure that they are also attentive on the road. So essentially, you see that the human-centered AI, basically, which means not just the biometrics, or basically to not just to authenticate or identify a person, but also to understand the human with several different characteristics. So, by using human-centered AI, you are able to offer several, different kind of use cases, and allow personalization with respect to safety, security, and infotainment, etc.
Absolutely. No, I really like your perspective on car being an extension of home, and how automotive companies are trying to focus on more personalization, leveraging biometrics and other technologies. And you're right. I mean, it is. I I have been in several situations where like I forgot the car key or the knob, and then trying to go back. So it is it's little inconvenient to carry, your car key or your phone sometimes even at at home. So absolutely leveraging AI and biometrics and other technologies makes sense. Awesome. In terms of modalities, is the industry focusing on specific biometric modalities, or are they trying to figure out what problem can be solved with a specific modality? Could you share your perspective on the biometric technology as a whole?
Sure. So yes, there are definitely several modalities that we use, and every modality has its own advantages, disadvantages, and its own offerings as well. So starting with face, it's in under the contactless header. So and it's very necessary because we want to understand whether the driver is drowsy, how much drowsy,
Hmm.
whether he is attentive or not, what kind of expressions or emotions are there, and where is exactly the gaze? Is it towards the road, or is it like somewhere sideways or whatever? Using the body pose, we understand the seating position, the leaning angle, leaning forward or backward. Using iris, iris is obviously the most secure biometric and the most accurate as well. So that can be used for engine start, for ignition basically. And then voice is also used for authentication. It can also be used for localization, where exactly is someone in or around the car. And vocal emotions are also very important, because sometimes you may not emote something with face, but the frustration, you can smirk with the face, but the frustration comes from the mouth. So those are two different things, at the same moment. And then obviously you have fingerprints also for authentication.
Awesome. Very interesting to see the use of different modalities, different biometrics for driver monitoring, vehicle safety, and other use cases. Very interesting. And now zooming in on specific use case, could you talk about a typical user journey that car manufacturers are looking into?
Sure. So this is, this is going to be a very futuristic kind of journey, which I would now say. Yes, I think there are a few things which are currently also, in practice. Some of the companies offer that, but let's still talk about that. So, a person walk towards the car with some device like smartphone or something in his pocket. So currently we have this Cosma product which will automatically unlock the door as you are approaching, and the car also gives out some signal to welcome you. In the future, this could be fully biometric enabled. But and then as you approach the car and it knows who exactly it is, your seat, where you are going to sit, that could be personalized, the height of it, and how much do you want it close to the steering, etc. The heating or ventilation system is also customized according to your own preference. Not and The technology is developed in such a way that there are different zones of such air cooling or heating created within the car. So if you are sitting beside me, I would have my own settings, and you would be able to have your own settings. So that much level of customization is possible with HVAC. Then once I know, okay, Ashok is coming into the car, so already log into the infotainment system in front of him,
Hmm.
and so that he can enjoy his own, Spotify music or something. And also, if the kids are there, then they can have their own login, and no one's feed is polluted by some other content. So that's also a relief. And then as you wish to do the car ignition, so at that time you can have face recognition or iris recognition, as I said earlier. um, then using emotion recognition based on facial and audio data, it can be used to change the music if you're not feeling good, or if you're feeling angry or something. We could change the music a little bit to lighten up your mood. It also acts as a supplement along with the health vitals, for health monitoring. And if in case you're not feeling healthy, or if there's some irregular pattern being observed, then the hospitals can automatically be communicated with this health data sent directly to them. And your near and dear ones could also be alerted at the same time. And if your car is intelligent enough, then it can be put on autopilot also. Then you have drowsiness, attentiveness, and gaze estimation, which is used for driver monitoring. So these technologies will also be important till we are, at level 2, 3, 4 of the automation, driving automation. When we get at level 5, then you don't even need to, look towards the road. You can just turn the seats around and enjoy conversation with the fellow passengers also. With respect to safety, we evaluate body volume along with age and gender to understand whether, in case of some accident, the airbag needs to be deployed or not. And if it needs to be deployed, then with how much force it should be deployed.
Hmm.
So essentially, the aim is that, if there's a baby or something, or if there's an old age person, the impact of the airbag is controlled, so that the person does not die because of that impact, and the accident was actually lesser. And then we have child presence detection as well. So if you left your child in the car while going shopping by chance, so the car will alert you for that. And as you also, when go away from the car, the vehicle will lock also itself, as no occupant presence was detected.
I mean, you touched upon so many futuristic yet absolutely achievable use cases and features. I am just blown away by the potential of Continental and other car manufacturers being looking into technology and to personalize the experience. I can, and it's not just for the passenger, as you mentioned, it's also applicable for fellow passengers as well. I can clearly see that you don't even right now you have to press a button, or it's a passenger one, then change the settings, then passenger two, then change the settings. But I can clearly see that in future, it's you don't even again have to press anything. It's just the moment you walk into your car, the entire experience will be customized to you. And you mentioned about the emotions, it automatically plays the right music, based on your emotions and dizziness. That sounds really amazing. Thank you for sharing all these use cases and the journey. Sounds very exciting and interesting. Awesome. Let's move on and talk about the enrollment process now. And as we all know that there are two steps involved in a biometric process. One is registration or enrollment, where you provide your biometrics, and you link it with either your your car or a payment method, whatever the use case is. So could you talk about a typical enrollment process for the automotive industry? Are people going to use your mobile phone, or they need to go to a dealer location? How is it? How will the enrollment look like in this case?
Well, in this case, I would say, the options that would depend on the car manufacturers, the OEMs, and also the modality that they choose, for authentication. So, with face, it is going to be fairly easy. It would be, kind of frictionless also, because it could be done through a mobile application, and it would be fairly easy. And the mobile cameras are already, quite advanced enough that that they provide good quality images. However, for other modalities, it can become a bit challenging. For example, iris. So, if you want to authenticate with iris, yes, it could be done at a dealership center, or it could be done in the car also. But in the car, it could have some different environments or something. And you know the if the enrollment image or enrollment sample itself is of not of the best quality, then we can't really guarantee the accuracies. So that's the thing. But yeah, voice, fingerprints, face, these things would be fairly easy. And that's also probably the reason why the companies who currently offer these solutions, they are also having these modalities. Not many are trying new different things. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you touched upon a really good point about some of the challenges with not the face or voice, but other modalities that we are having with Iris and maybe Gate, and with future, as we are seeing more advancements with these technologies. Hopefully, the enrollment process will be easier for other modalities as well as it is for face and voice and other modalities. Cool.
One of the problem, yeah, yeah. And one of the problem is also the user experience. Like, we have taken like thousands of selfies, and now we know
Mm,
how to make our face look better, and how to take the right selfie. But if I ask you to just say something, you would spend like 2-3 seconds at least to think, okay, what should I say? So that sometimes becomes kind of a issue in terms of user experience. So these are the kind of things which we also need to understand. And vehicles are also kind of a place where you may not always have a screen to communicate something back to you. If you are
mm,
outside the vehicle, then you cannot see any other screen. And then how does the
mm.
communication reach you, that you are not authenticated or something like that? So yeah, that's a bigger problem that we try to address right now. Yeah.
That is a really good point, Shashank. Inside there could be a screen where we can where there is an opportunity to show messages. But if somebody is outside the car and trying to move towards the car, and then how would they know a message? Again, something to look into, and it is promising to hear that car manufacturers are at least looking into this area and trying to figure out the convenient way to provide that messaging. Cool. Awesome. All right. So moving on to the second piece of biometric identification process, which is recognition. So how will a car recognize that it is Shashank who is the owner of the car and not Ashok who is trying to impersonate or trying to get into Shashank's car? Will it be a one-on-one identification or one-to-N identification? And again, as you know, like data and security are super important data security and privacy. So will the data be stored in the car or in the cloud? Could you talk about some of these industry challenges?
See, the thing is that with the cars, we don't deal with such huge number of people as compared to national ID systems or something. So even if it is n number, it would not be so huge.
Hmm.
But still, coming back to this, it depends on the use case, and accordingly, the authentication approach could vary. So, for personal cars, any of that, whether 1:1 or 1:n could work. Because yeah, it is a small number. It could be 1:1 also, in case some car manufacturer says that okay, you need to combine, some modality or some authentication feature along with your smartphone as well. So in that case, I already know that this is Ashok, and then he should be approaching the car, then I will match only with his profile. Otherwise also it can work. It might go to a very big number in case of ride sharing companies,
Hmm.
and that's where it could be put on a cloud as well. Along with that, your preferences for safety, security, and personalization, that is also put together with that. So whether it is whether you are going to another car of yours, or whether you are switching between cabs, it will already be personalized before you get into it. So that's another added advantage of using biometrics over here. Recognition, it's not really the challenging part to recognize someone, but I expect that the anti-spoofing part would be a bit challenging.
Hmm. I
The
see.
current, I mean, I say that, yes, I say that because the greater amount of anti-spoofing solutions available today, they use, they are built for the use case for finance or payments and all that, where basically you definitely have a good sensor. Mostly mobile phones are used, and so you already have a very good selfie camera. But for cars, apart from the luxury cars, they can afford to have like high definition cameras and the costlier ones, which ultimately drives up the cost of the car as well. But if you wanted to build something for the masses, then you cannot have such high definition cameras, and in that case, that means that you don't have enough pixels between faces, which the current anti-spoofing algorithms demand.
No, you raised a really good point about car segmentation market and how, depending upon the price of a car, a certain biometrics hardware or software features will be available. So that brings us to the end of section two. Thank you, Shashank, for sharing all your great insights. And section three is where it's very interesting. These are the set of common questions I ask all the guests to get their perspective on biometrics technology as a whole and how they keep up to the latest trends and knowledge in the industry. So if we get started, and if I ask you, like, if you had to explain biometrics to a 10-year-old kid, how would you explain what biometrics?
Well, interesting one. Okay. So, traditionally, biometrics is a way of identifying people using their physical characteristics, and the most common modalities are fingerprints, iris, and face. However, for me, biometrics also means understanding an individual and his actions through his age, gender, body volume, expressions, cognitive load, gestures, interactions, etc. So that gives a wholesome understanding of a human, and how a person would act in some situations, and thereby allowing so many different use cases for personalization, etc.
That makes sense. How do you stay on top of the advancements in this? automotive biometric space? I mean, there's a lot happening already, as I shared, based on the stats and the rapid growth. How do you keep up with all the pace?
I would usually keep on top of the conferences and occasionally reading the research papers, newsletters as well. And for the past 2 months, this podcast also.
Thank you. Thank you. You just made my day by saying that. Thank you for that. All right. So the last question in this section, how, what would you do differently if you have to start your biometrics journey?
Well, I would to restart. I would hope that my supervisor was also Professor Mark Nixon, and maybe if I would have pursued a PhD, then it might have been very different. But yes, largely I am fairly satisfied with what I've done, and the industry that I work in at the moment is also very interesting and not just limited to authenticating people.
That is amazing. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you won't make a lot of changes and you're satisfied with where you are. That is amazing. All right. This brings us to the last section of our podcast. If Shashank, people or organizations want to reach out to you on social media, how should they contact?
Easily approachable on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can find me with the same name over there.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much, Shashank. This brings us to the end of this podcast. I want to thank you for all your time and wish you all the best for your career journey and growth. And let's be in touch. And I will be tracking your social media posts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also.
Awesome. Well, that was a great discussion with Shashank Dhariwal. I will provide all the links in the description. And if you want to stay on top of similar podcasts and updates, please subscribe and like this podcast. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.